We're here. It's UFC 300, and I have no idea if you can actually read that, but I used my yellow marker because it's the closest gosh darn thing to gold I could find. Guys, it's UFC 300. This is the biggest card of the year, biggest card of our lifetimes. And let me tell you this. I'm worried about this card because there are so many razor-thin matchups. Even if the odds don't indicate it in some, every matchup on this card, outside of maybe one that I know you're probably thinking the same one as I am, is a very, very close fight. I'm stoked for the card. I'm on way too many underdogs, which means I'm either going to look like a genius or just like a total idiot because obviously favorites are the favorite for a reason. But guys, this is going to be fun. We're going to get right into it. We're going to break it down. My links are in the description, so check those out if you feel so inclined, and I'll see you guys in the first slated fight. To kick off the card, it's Deiveson Figueiredo taking on Cody Garbrandt in the bantamweight division. Garbrandt, 3-2 in his last 5. He's been fighting a little bit different than he used to, and it's been paying off for him in that last 5 fights. 2-2 in a draw for Deiveson Figueiredo. He's been fighting down at flyweight up until his last one, which he came up and fought Rob Font. Looked very impressive in that matchup. Cruising his way to a victory there. For Cody Garbrandt, dude's a solid striker, mostly boxing, but, you know, can kick if he needs to, I guess. He doesn't do it very often. Mostly boxing. Good footwork, good combinations. The hand speed is there. Dude can knock guys dead with one shot, and he's got good countering ability. The problem is we're not sure about the durability. He's been okay in his last couple fights, and it's been a while since he's been knocked out, but just the way he's been knocked out before, it makes you guys kind of wonder. And he also fought pretty tentatively for a bit there after being knocked out. So we wonder about the durability, but I do think he has a lot of skills. And on the feet, he's the better boxer out of these two, and I don't think that's crazy to say. He's got solid wrestling, good takedowns, good takedown defense, and excellent scrambles. On the other side, Deiveson Figueiredo, good striker with good forward pressure. Got good power, very accurate. He's going to work the body. He's got kicks, whether those be to the body, the legs, or the head. Maybe not the head at bantamweight as much, but Garbrandt's not super tall either, so maybe he could. He's extremely patient, though, and at times that could be a problem because it means he's not doing much. And he keeps his hands kind of low, and he just kind of waits for his shots at times. That's a problem against a guy like Garbrandt, who at this point could move around the outside, kind of dance around, come in, land a 1-2, skip back out, hit the jab, whatever he needs to do. Come in start with the 2 to the 3, whatever he wants to do. Just keeping light on the toes. That could be a problem if he gets a little too patient looking for his counter shots, which he will do at times. In the grappling, though, dude's got solid jiu-jitsu, absolutely nasty chokes, lights out with that tight squeeze, good scrambles and good sweeping ability as well, and decent takedowns. But when he starts shooting for takedowns, that's when he really fatigues himself. And I don't think that that's what he's going to do here against Cody Garbrandt because he knows that Cody Garbrandt has good takedown defense, and I think he knows that on the feet, he's got a pretty good chance of knocking him out if he can land hard. So this is a tough fight for both guys stylistically, but I've got to side with Figueiredo to get it done. I understand that 2-2 in a draw in his last 5 doesn't look the best, but it's who's he been going against? It's been championship-level fights, except for the Font fight. Obviously, that wasn't a championship fight, but either way, he looked good in that one. I'm going to take Figueiredo for the simple fact that I think on the feet, he's going to be able to land the more powerful shots. I think he's going to be able to put some pressure on Garbrandt and make Garbrandt a little bit tentative to come into the pocket, and I think that's going to help him get it done. And if Garbrandt does decide to go to his wrestling, grappling with Figueiredo could be a problem. So for me, Figueiredo's getting this one done, but I might just pass on this one, honestly. This might be the fight where I get my feet up on the coffee table, crack open a nice cold root beer, and just enjoy the first fight of the night, enjoy the show, because, guys, that's what it's about sometimes, just enjoying it. And that's what we're going to do in this first fight of the night. No bets on this one. I'll see you guys. Next up, we've got Bobby Green taking on Jim Miller in the lightweight division. And this fight had to be here, right? We needed Jim Miller on UFC 300 after he fought on both UFC 100 and 200, bring himself to victory in both of those matchups. It just had to be. But he's fighting King Bobby Green, and that's a good fight. I think this is a very compelling matchup, and it's a fun matchup, and one that you could see the other guy winning because both guys have clear paths to victory here. So I like this one a lot. But real quick, I haven't highlighted the channel members in the last couple of videos. I've been trying to rush through so that I can actually get them uploaded because for some reason, videos have been taking like 10 hours to upload. But we're going to take a moment to highlight you guys. Why is that? Well, because it just reminded, I switched markers throughout this video because my marker was starting to die on me. And it's you channel members that are here helping me out, getting me the markers I need to write this down because the channel memberships, that money goes to this stuff. It goes to replacing the light bulbs for the studio lighting we have here. It goes to replacing the markers for this marker board we have here. It goes to the spray at which we use which is in here, to clean the marker board. It goes to those things, right? The microfiber towels that help keep this looking nice and crisp. It doesn't look like a classroom where the marker board, you can tell, has been erased with one of those dirty erasers over and over again, and the marker board's just kind of slightly discolored. No, in this space here, this is clean, this is crisp, and it looks nice. The reason why is because of the channel members. So for you guys, give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you guys so much for doing that. That money goes right to keeping the lights on, replacing the markers, and making everything look crisp. So I appreciate you guys. Let's break down this fight now. Jim Miller, Bobby Green. Bobby Green, 2-2 in a no contest in his last 5 fights. That no contest being a very odd one in which he fought Jared Gordon. Strange fight. You know, I don't know. Did he try to do the headbutt? Either way. Jim Miller, 4-1 in his last 5. He's looking career best. He has that loss to Alexander Hernandez, which isn't the best look at this point because Hernandez hasn't done the best in the UFC. A lot of people kind of thought Jim Miller won that. It was a close fight, a really close fight. So either way, I think Jim Miller's looking great. 4-1 in the last 5. That Lyme's disease is now a thing of the past for him, and he's looked a lot better ever since. For Bobby Green, though, the hand speed, the boxing, it's still there, right? Let's start on the Jim Miller side, though. Good striker, decent power. This has kind of come later in his career. He's gotten that power, that knockout power. He's always had good leg kicks, but he, he's starting to get the power shots coming off the leg kicks. Well, slamming the leg kicks, getting you thinking about that, and then bam, over the top, puts you down. You guys can put together combinations as well. I probably should have wrote that. We're not going to do it right now. It's too late. Solid grappling. He's very much a guillotine specialist. I don't particularly like guillotines. I don't think they work super well in the UFC or in high-level MMA at all. But some people just have it, and Jim Miller's one of them. Good transitions as well. Good scrambles. But his overall best attribute, the fight IQ. The dude gets it done with the fight IQ, up in the noodle. Bobby Green, on the other hand, slick boxer, right? Got good head movement, uses that shoulder roll really well, good volume. He's got punches coming from odd angles because they're down here, and he's moving his head, and he snaps that punch up. That's all well and good, but it means your hands are low, and he's been knocked out pretty brutally in his last couple of fights where he has lost. Those knockouts are not something that you want to see. They're going up against a guy like Jim Miller, who all of a sudden has discovered power. For Bobby Green, though, he's got good wrestling as well. Good sprawls, good scrambles. He uses his wrestling pretty much entirely defensively. So I think he's going to do everything he can to stay out of the grappling with Jim Miller. I think Jim Miller is going to be losing this fight until he's not. And I think he's going to catch Bobby Green with something. I think he's going to put him down. And whether he club and subs him, knocks him out, whatever it is, I think Jim Miller's getting it done because apparently fairy tales do exist. And I didn't think they did. But apparently that they do because I've been proven wrong. And Jim Miller's probably going to get this one done so he can get the 100, 200, 300 and set him up for a nice fight at UFC 400. Am I right? I hope not. I really hope not. Dude's like 40. But either way, I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's find ourselves in the women's strawweight division as Jessica Andrade takes on Marina Rodriguez. Rodriguez is 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Andrade is 2-3 in her last 5 fights. And real quick, guys, hey, t-shirts. Get yourself one. It'd be great for watching UFC 300. Maybe you'll luck out and it gets there in time. But if not, you'll have it for the next event. So that's cool, too. You can get it at the link in the description, 138mma.company.site. Get a sweet little t-shirt with my name or my face on it here, my logo, my stuff here. Or if you don't like that, that's okay. I understand. It's kind of an ugly logo. I'm kind of an ugly guy. That's just what it is. But I've got another shirt for you. It's the generic male holding a nice root beer, an ice-cold root beer, kicking his feet up on the coffee table, cracking it open, and tossing that sucker back because that's what we do on this channel. We drink a lot of root beer and watch fights. So if you want one of that one, you can pretend it's a real beer. I understand that a lot of you guys are drinkers, so that's how it works. But if you are, go ahead and get that shirt. It's going to be a great time. Enjoy yourself in your new 130 MMA shirt. Let's break down this fight. Now, for this one, like I said, 2-3 for Andrade, 3-2 for Rodriguez. Rodriguez, solid striker. Very good volume, good combination. She's got good movement on the feet and excellent hand speed. She's got good countering ability, and she's using her range very well. And she's going to be able to use that in this matchup because she's going to be taller and longer than Jessica Andrade. She's got good clinch as well. Nasty knees in the clinch. But the grappling has been a problem for her. When she gets taken down, she can be held down, and that is a problem. But thankfully, Andrade is probably looking to strike. So Andrade, good striker with good forward pressure. Nasty power, though, and she keeps that power late. So at any point, if she connects on Rodriguez, she can put her lights out. Good volume as well, but she is wide open to counters when she comes in. We've seen her counter struck before, dropped before. That can come because she gets a little aggressive, comes forward with those heavy hands and looking for the knockout and then gets clipped. Decent grappling. She's got very good slams. She likes to pick her opponents up and drop them down. Yes, we remember the the Rose Namajunas knockout with the slam, but she's also slammed other opponents as well, and she's got good ground and pound when she gets on top. She's only going to start very fast, so I think if Andrade starts fast, she has a real clear path to victory early on by just taking the fight to Rodriguez. However, as the fight goes on, the counters are going to start working. Rodriguez is going to get her movement going, and I think she's going to take over. For me, I've got to side with Marina Rodriguez here, but it's a close fight, and I won't be surprised if Jessica Andrade gets the win. If you played it right, you can get them both at plus money. That is the way to go, but Rodriguez is the pick. Let me know what you have. And I'll see the most recently added fight to the card. It's Jalen Turner takes on Renato Moicano. Moicano's 4-1 in his last 5, 3-2 for Jalen Turner, although he should have won that Garbrandt fight. Either way, 3-2 and 4-1 for these two. There's a big height and reach advantage on the side of Jalen Turner. The guy's 6'3" with a 75.5-inch reach. He's got an opponent at 5'11" and a 72-inch reach in Renato Moicano. Good fight. Tough fight to call. I've gone back and forth on this one a little bit, and I understand a lot of people are very, very heavy on one side, but I think it's a closer fight than the odds may indicate. Renato Moicano is a good striker with a good leg kick. He's able to work that to accumulation very well. What I mean by that is he sticks to the leg kick throughout the fight until it starts to add up over that course of the rounds. He's got a very crisp jab, and something that he does really well is when opponents start to shell up, he sneaks that uppercut in there right up underneath the guard and cracks guys snapping their head back. Very good at working in combinations as well, and he can even put that uppercut into a combination. On the ground, the grappling, Renato Moicano is going to have a big advantage here. He's very good at taking the back, and he is a bit of a rear naked choke specialist. When he gets there, in fact, a lot of his wins are by a rear naked choke. I wish I had the number off the top of my head, but I don't. But he's very good at getting to the back and taking that neck with him. Good control, good transitions to move throughout the positions. I think Renato is going to have a very good chance on the ground in this matchup, but I think on the feet, you got a guy like Jalen Turner, who's a good striker as well. Both guys are good strikers, but the natural advantages tip that towards Jalen Turner, in my opinion. Dude's good at keeping guys on the back foot while also at the end of his punches, because what he's doing is he's walking these guys down, but he's got such a long range and pressure to him that he can make them have to back up and still hit them from where they're not in range to land their own offense, but he's at range to land his at the end of those long straight punches. So Jalen Turner can do that while he's punching downhill at a guy in Renato Moicano here. He's got good volume, and the power is really deceptive. You look at him and you don't think, oh, this man's a powerhouse, but this dude will put your lights out in one shot. Good knees up the middle, and that works well for tall guys because the opponent's head's going to be lower, and obviously that's how that works. Your knee comes up, doesn't have to go as high because, relatively speaking. Good long straights, like I kind of mentioned a little bit already. Good grappling as well. He's got very good ground and pound, but he's also got a slick front choke series that he uses when guys try to take him down. Now, sometimes his takedown defense has been suspect, but he's really good at popping back up to his feet. And if he can do that here, he can wear out Moicano by making him really work to get those takedowns. Because Moicano has decent takedowns, don't get me wrong, but they're not like Division I All-American wrestler style takedowns. He's getting these takedowns, and he does a good job at it, but he can't really get those takedowns without having to get his way through the danger zone against Jalen Turner. And that's why ultimately I have to side with Jalen Turner in this one. I think he's going to be more dangerous in more moments of the fight, and I think he's going to be able to get it done at some point in this one by cracking Renato Moicano. But also, if you take a poke at the Renato Moicano by submission, I don't blame you, because there's a pretty good chance that if it does get to the mat, that he takes the back and gets the choke. So let me know what you guys think. And I'm a featherweight matchup here. Sodiq Yusuff takes on Diego Lopes. In this one here, Lopes is 4-1 in his last 5, 3-2 for Yusuff. It's a good fight. It's a fun fight. It's the one fight on this card that I feel like is just not getting a ton of buzz, because all of the other fights have, like former champions, title challengers, all that stuff. Both of these guys are like names, right, to the MMA fan. But if you just ask your buddy down the road that kind of only has seen, the big stuff, he has no idea who these guys are. So these are probably the other than maybe Brundage, these two are the two like least known guys on the card, which is crazy to say. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you think I'm stupid for saying that, but I think these guys have the least name value on the card outside of Brundage. But he's obviously being brought in to lose to Nickal. So either way, it's interesting that this fight is on this one, and I think it shows the UFC is looking to highlight these guys because it knows that these are a couple of guys who can put on a fun fight and will get that crowd really into this matchup. And I think that alone stands for a lot in this one. So all in all, what I'm saying is it should be a good fight, and I understand that these two aren't standing out as the fight that you think of when you're thinking of UFC 300. But either way, for Diego, the dude's got solid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with a huge toolbox. He's got very opportunistic submissions and transitions when he's on the mat. He takes what you give him and just pounces on it, and he's extremely active from his back. Good striker as well with good forward pressure, decent power, and a lot of volume. His kicks are probably his best weapon on the feet, but he does get a bit wild, and that could be a problem for him in some situations. On the other side, Sadiq Yusuff, solid striker as well. Plenty of power, good speed in the hands, speed with the kicks as well. Boxing combinations are where he gets it done, but he does throw those leg kicks, right? He's the boxer leg kicker kind of guy, which we see a lot. Like guys that are primarily boxing, but they do throw pretty good leg kicks. Yes, he throws other kicks at times. The leg kick is the main kick that he uses. Striking defense has let him down in the past. I think it could let him down again in the future. Maybe not in this matchup, but maybe it does. In the grappling department, he's got decent takedowns and decent top control, but he's in a spot where I don't think he's going to want to use his grappling because Diego Lopes is going to be better on the ground. Ultimately, I think Diego Lopes is going to take advantage of that, and I think he's going to get the win via submission. I don't know when, but somewhere in the fight via submission. Diego Lopes is going to be able to get him down, whether it be from a takedown, a strike to knock him down, or if he gets taken down after Yusuff does not like the striking on the feet. And I think Lopes is going to get it done via submission. Let me know what you have, and I will see you in the next. Up next, we have Kayla Harrison making her debut in the UFC, taking on the grizzled veteran, Holly Holm. Holly Holm is 3-1 in a no contest in her last 5 fights. Harrison is 4-1 in her last 5 fights, and there's a big age discrepancy here. 33 for Kayla Harrison, 42 for Holly Holm. Yes, that's a big discrepancy, and that is going to be in the favor of Kayla Harrison. Understandably so, the younger fighter typically is going to win in fights, well, when it's like this, when it's like in their 40s versus what would presumably be the prime of her career. For Kayla Harrison, though, let's break down her skills. Very high level of grappling, comes from that judo background. Fantastic throws, as you would assume from somebody with that judo background. She's a very physically strong person as well, so when she gets a hold of you, she can toss you onto your noggin, no big deal. Very good top pressure. She works to advance position immediately when she gets the fight to the mat. So when she gets that fight down, she's not looking to just stay somewhere. She's looking to either get to mount, get to, maybe side control if she's not there already, because a lot of times from those throws, she ends up there. She's looking to move to where she wants to fight, right? Very good ground and pound. She would just relentlessly throw bombs at you when she's on top. And she does have a very good armbar, bit of an armbar special. That's kind of a judo thing. A lot of judo players will throw someone, and what happens is, because of the way that they end up, that armbar is there for the taking on the landing. So she can get that armbar from there, or she can get it when she gets to mount, land some ground and pound, and get you just kind of doing this with your arms. And then next thing you know, you got your arm snatched up. Decent striking. Basically, it's just because her grappling threat sets it up, and she can kind of strike her way into the clinch, and she's a powerful girl. So she's definitely not the better striker in this matchup, but she does have some advantages just by the fact that she's such a good grappler, that her striking kind of just gets set up by the threat of the takedown. On the other side, I do have more notes on Holly Holm than this, but I didn't want this board to look lopsided. It's just Holly Holm's been around fighting the better, UFC level competition for a long time, so you get a lot of notes. Now, some of them I need to scrap, but I didn't write all of them up here for a reason. Some of them are very important, though, that should go up here, and I might highlight them, but they just don't fit on the board. You can check those out, patreon.com/130MMA if you weren't sure about that. My notes will be up on there at some point this week. Now, for Holly Holm, very high-level striker. She's incredibly technically sound, and she has a very good striking defense. She doesn't get hit very often. In fact, she gets hit below the average by a pretty significant clip in the UFC. Good movement on the feet. She mixes up her levels in combination. So what does that mean? She can go to the head. She can go to the body. She can go to the leg. She can do whatever she needs to do in combination, and that's because she's so gosh darn good on the feet. She's good at controlling range as well, and I think that's something she's going to need to do here, because if she ends up in the clinch, although Holly Holm is very good in the clinch, if she ends up in the clinch, she could be in trouble. Now, she does have very good skipping knees in the tie clinch or up against the cage. She can hold people up there with the cage push. But realistically, I don't think that's where we want to see Holly Holm, especially early in this fight. If you're on the Holly Holm side, you don't want to see her trying to clinch with Kayla Harrison, because Kayla Harrison, if you're clinching with her, she's tossing you and you're going to be on the mat. So there's that. However, Holm's got good takedown defense. She makes up for, or makes opponents pay for their failed takedowns by, using her range to frame off and make them kind of go for the takedown. And as they're trying to get to their feet, she starts raining down shots, and then when they try to bring their head around to the outside to get out of the way, that's when the head kick's coming in. She's done this in more than one fight. We all know about the head kick knockout over Ronda Rousey. It's a similar thing, but it's what she'll do is she'll throw those punches. Maybe you get out of the way of the head kick. We've seen that a lot as well, but you still ate those punches on the way, and now you know that head kick's coming, and now you're thinking, oh, shoot, if I fail another takedown, there's a chance I eat the next one. In addition to that, she's also very hard to hold down if you do get her down. Good fight. Interesting fight. I know a lot of people were upset when this one was announced, but I think there's a lot of weirdo incels in the MMA community. So if you are one of those, stop. Just, it's okay. Women's fights can be good too. This one's going to be good. It's going to be interesting. I'm taking Holm to get the upset. Guys, I think she's going to do it. I think she's going to get a decision win. It might be sketchy early on in the first. I think she's going to be able to implement her game plan, stay at range, pick her apart with long rangey jabs, and just avoid the clinch with Kayla Harrison as the fight goes on, and win a striking-based decision. Maybe in the third, she's worn out, Kayla Harrison. She's jabbed up her face, got her nose bleeding a little bit, eyes are starting to swell up, and she can push her up against the cage a little in the third. But honestly, I think Holm's going to win this a 29-28 decision by just staying out of range of the clinch and using that striking advantage, that very significant striking advantage that she's going to have over Kayla Harrison. So that's where I'm at, and she's a massive, massive underdog. And by golly, we're taking too many dogs on this card. Let me know what you have. I'll see you guys in the next one. And also, if you haven't done it already, like the video. We've got a matchup where Aljamain Sterling is moving up to featherweight to take on Calvin Kattar, who's coming off of a pretty lengthy layoff for a knee injury. Interesting matchup, right? Because Aljamain Sterling, he's coming off that loss to Sean O'Malley, in which O'Malley was able to maintain range and use that to defend takedowns. And when he did, eventually he caught Sterling with that sniper shot that Sean O'Malley has, and put him down and got the TKO win there. So Aljamain, 1 loss in his last 5, so he's 4-1. On the other side, Calvin Kattar, 2-3 in the last 5, and that does look bad when you look at it on paper. When you look a little deeper, you understand things a little bit different. Okay, he lost to Arnold Allen when he blew out his knee. Makes sense, but that didn't really look like it was Arnold Allen's doing as much as it was Calvin Kattar just kind of landed weird. Now, I understand some of that could be given credit to Arnold Allen. Could have been something that he did in that matchup earlier than that, but realistically, it looked kind of just like a thing that happened. Fight with Josh Emmett. A lot of people thought Calvin Kattar won. Maybe he did, but the judges didn't see it that way. Either way, Calvin Kattar it was a close fight there. So for me, the 2-3, it's not exactly telling the whole story here, right? And he's also the natural featherweight, but he is coming off that layoff, which is a problem for him. Let's break this down. So on the other side, on the Sterling side, we're going to start over here. Dude's got high-level wrestling, and he shoots a very low takedown entry. Like, he's going for ankles almost here. And that's good for him because afterwards, when he fails, and he does fail a lot of takedowns, but when he does, he stays safe from the strikes because he'll be down on, like, his hands and knees really low to the mat. And you can't really hit the guy because you can't strike to the back of the head or directly to the spine. You can't kick or knee a downed opponent. So you're, like, kind of trying to, like, punch at him, like, while he's doing this weird, like, thing, and he's, like, grabbing for your ankles and stuff. It's an effective strategy that works, and eventually he can get the takedown that way. I don't know how that'll work against Calvin Kattar. That's going to be tricky to say. I was like, I can't see Kattar playing into that. But then again, if he does, Aljamain's going to catch his leg and eventually get him to the mat. So I don't know. This is a tricky one right here. This is going to be a tricky read, I think. Dude's got very good scrambles when he gets to the mat, and he's got excellent control, especially when he takes the back. They don't call him the human backpack for nothing. On the feet, decent striker, good movement. He has a deceptively long jab because the guy's got a pretty long wingspan for someone of his height. And he's got good kicks to both the leg as well as the head. Doesn't throw a ton of body kicks. He can throw them, obviously, but the leg and the head is where he goes a lot. The striking advantage is going to be on the Kattar side for sure, but the wrestling advantage is definitely going to be on the Sterling side. So a big clash of styles here, big wrestling versus striking. Now, for Kattar, solid striker, got good range control. Remember that. He's got good range control. Dude's got a long jab. He counters very well by drawing his opponents out and then coming back with his own strike and countering off of what he drew out of them. Got good combinations, plenty of power, good volume. He doesn't have like that one-shot power. I mean, he's knocked guys down with a shot, but it's often in a combination where he's landed 2 or 3, 4 other shots in that combination. So he's got really good power, but it's not the hit you once and you're just done for kind of power. So it's good, just usually it's a combination dropping guys. Good wrestling as well. He's got very good ground and pound if he gets on top, and it's just a barrage of shots. And I think that's because he doesn't care if they happen to get back to their feet because he's going to continue to barrage them once they get there. He's got good takedown defense as well, and the killer instinct is something I want to highlight here because Calvin Kattar, when he smells blood in the water, he's going for it. So for me, this one's going to be interesting, and I think the reason I've got a side on the side that I'm going to take is because of the range control. I've got to take Calvin Kattar here to do something similar to what Sean O'Malley did, and that's stay at range and use his long jab to stay away from the takedowns. And I think if he can keep it at range when Sterling's shooting these takedowns going for the legs, I don't think Kattar's going to get caught with him. Maybe he does once early in the fight where he's coming in and using a little bit too much forward pressure, and he has allowed himself to get in the pocket and exchange that way, and that could cause him trouble. But he's going to get back to his corner, and his corner is going to say, hey, dude, you gave up that round. He was on your back for 3.5 minutes in that one because you came in too close into the pocket looking to knock his head off. Instead, stay at range, stick that long jab, and keep that distance and work that. And he does like a weird, like long, like kind of like he's like fencing, you know what I mean? With the little like pointy sword thing with the, whatever. So he's fencing with his jab, and he does that a lot in his matchups when he's trying to maintain that range. And I think that's what he's going to be able to do here to Aljamain Sterling. But let me know what you think. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm thinking a ton of underdogs. I would love to hear from you in the light heavyweight division. We have Alexander Rakic making his return to the UFC after a long layoff from an injury, taking on Yuri Prochazka. Prochazka is 4-1 in his last 5 fights, 3-2 for Rakic. And I do believe that there's some bad blood between these two, mostly from the Rakic side. It sounds like he really just doesn't like Prochazka, understandably so. But either way, Alexander Rakic seems to have a little bit of heat towards Prochazka. So let's break this fight down, right? Alexander Rakic, if you're not familiar, if you haven't been around the UFC for very long, if you haven't been watching for a while, clear back when he fought last. These are the things that we've got from him. I know it's been a long time. Things change, so we're taking that with a grain of salt. He's a solid striker with good footwork, solid leg kick. And so that's something I want to highlight here is the leg kick, because Prochazka does not block leg kicks at all. He's heavy on the lead leg. So keep that in mind. But solid leg kick. He also strikes very well on the clinch break. When these guys clinch up and then it starts to break off, boom, throws an elbow, boom, throws a hook. Does a good job there. He's got excellent combinations, but the problem is he starts to drop his hands mid-combo. Similar to somebody else we've talked about on this card, if we haven't already. I'm not sure what order these are in. But he'll start throwing his combinations, and his hands start dipping lower, and coming way off to the side. And I think it's because he gets excited, because he'll come in with a blitz, and he's looking for that finish, and then occasionally those hands come down. And he hasn't really had to pay for it yet, but it can happen at any time, especially against a guy like Prochazka. Dude's a good grappler, though. He's got very good reactionary takedowns. He's got good ground and pound when he gets to fight to the mat. And he's also got good upper body throws if he does end up in the clinch, and he needs to go that route. On the other side, we have Yuri Prochazka, who's just going to put a pace on a guy, right? That's what he does. Believe it or not, he's actually pretty accurate with his punches when he's not doing goofy stuff. The problem for Prochazka is he does a lot of goofy stuff. But either way, he doesn't block anything, and that's a big red flag, but he does have good head movement. So he's able to get his head out of the way from a lot of shots, and I think a lot of it's just because he has such a weird, awkward style. He's very explosive. He's got a fast jab and a sneaky front kick up the middle. These up-the-middle shots are going to be something that's going to be a problem for Rakic, as Prochazka's going to darting his head off to the side and flipping a weird front kick and sticking a jab and just putting this crazy stuff together. Because he mixes combinations with single strikes, and it can get guys kind of just wondering what's coming next. He does spin a lot, and that's a problem, but he's gotten some knockouts with those spins. And he does have a ton of power anyway, with 25 KOs out of his 29 wins. That's pretty impressive. In the grappling department, he's incredibly hard to hold down. I wouldn't say he's like super high-level technical grappler, but he's got great scrambles. He's got good instincts on the mat, and he's good at just kind of getting back to his feet. This pains me because I'm going to pick someone that I don't like. I don't like this faux samurai. I think he's silly, and I think the samurai gimmick is stupid. But I think Prochazka is going to get him, and here's why. I understand the leg kick is a real issue for Prochazka. He could lose because of that. But what I also know is that this dude hits really hard. And this dude drops his hands mid-combo. And he is going to be just a tad bit rusty. And I understand some people say ring rust isn't a thing. Maybe it's not. But the guy hasn't fought in a long time. And he's coming off of an injury. He's going to want to feel it out a little bit. How is he going to look in this fight? Probably not at the start anyway. At his perfect, top level, best we've ever seen him. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Prochazka is going to catch him, and I think he's probably going to knock him out at some point in this matchup. So I've got to go with Yuri Prochazka, unfortunately. And if he loses, I won't be that mad about it. So Yuri Prochazka is the pick, unfortunately. I will see you guys in the next one. Let me know who you have, though. I do appreciate it. We have the matchup between Bo Nickal and Cody Brundage in the middleweight division. This is the matchup with the most crazy odds I've ever seen. They're probably even more crazy by the time that you're watching this. than they are when I'm recording, so I'm not even going to bother telling you, but it's definitely over minus 2,000 on Bo Nickal. He is 5-0 on his MMA career, which is crazy to think that he's that big of a favorite at 5-0, but I get it because he's shown a lot of potential, even though it hasn't been against the best level of competition. Cody Brundage, on the other hand, he's everybody's favorite upset, everybody's favorite spoiler, right? The dude's 2-3 in his last 5 fights, but those 2 wins, oh boy, those 2 wins, right? So for Cody Brundage, dude's a fast starter, good wrestling, good takedowns, decent top control. He pulls guard sometimes, and he can get stuck on his back. Big red flags. Powerful striker, willing to eat one to give one, hits like a truck, but he gets hit quite a bit too, because if you're eating one to give one, well, you're getting hit as many times as you're giving. Cody Brundage is the type of guy who can just pull off a fight that he's not supposed to win, and then when he is supposed to win, he'll lose. It's super weird, and it's happened too often in Cody Brundage's fights, and you guys understand that if you've been around for a while. For Bo Nickal, also a fast starter. This dude isn't letting the fight go past the first round. That's what he does. He just goes in there and beats guys. High-level wrestling. He'll feint his takedowns to get his opponents to freeze, and then when they're frozen, he'll either strike with them or shoot a takedown. He's got some of the best takedowns that you can have. I mean, the dude's wrestled at such a high level, near perfect takedown entries, and he's showing a growing submission game. Just with his training footage, we've seen him get a couple of submissions in his career thus far. Decent striker as well. He's set up by his wrestling. Obviously, like I said, he can freeze guys with that takedown feint. And he's got decent power. We saw him land on Val Woodburn and drop him, and Obon Elliott couldn't put out Val Woodburn. So there's that. With that said, yeah, the pick is going to be Bo Nickal. I don't think that's crazy to say, but you bet I threw $10 on Cody Brundage inside the distance just in case something crazy happens. Dude could win by a knockout. He could win by DQ. Or what I think might happen if he just somehow catches a magical guillotine and gets that. Like, it's $10. I don't have any money bet on Bo Nickal because you can't really. Maybe bet a prop. If you did, good for you. But Cody Brundage inside the distance is something you play just because the odds are ridiculous. But Bo Nickal probably wins this one, and I'll lose $10. We'll win it back on the rest of the fights. Let me know what you have, and I'll see. We've got it. Charles Oliveira taking on Arman Tsarukyan. Both of these guys are 4-1 in their last 5, and both of these guys have looked very impressive in their careers thus far, especially at lightweight. Oliveira had a little bit of a rough patch at featherweight, but at lightweight, both of these guys have looked very impressive. For Arman Tsarukyan, coming in with a head of steam, probably shouldn't have gotten that loss that he did get. It's kind of a bad decision, but it is what it is. Solid wrestling for the guy. He's got good takedowns, and he uses a volume of takedowns to get the fight to the mat. Once he gets there, he's got good top control, and he stays safe on top. He doesn't put himself in danger typically. He's got very good ground and pound, and he also has good takedown defense from a defensive standpoint. In the striking department, the dude's a good striker with forward pressure, plenty of power, and his wrestling threat sets up his hands because guys are afraid to get taken down by him because they know he can just control. He's got good, very, very good kicks at range, and he has some unorthodox movements that he uses very well. You saw the spinning back fist in the Garbrandt fight. That was a move in which landing that probably should have stole that round for him, but I guess it didn't. Either way, Arman Tsarukyan, very unorthodox with those movements, but also has some clean technical strikes from his game as well. On the other side, Charles Oliveira, dude's going to fight like a car wreck. He's a very solid striker, good rangy stuff with his straight shots and then his teeps up the middle. He does a good job at that, but he also is very dangerous in the pocket. He's got tons of power anywhere the fight goes. This guy's throwing elbows and knees in close. He's throwing long straights and teeps at range. Dude's got good ability to cut off the cage with a ton of volume and just walk guys down with that like elephant march thing he does. They always talk about. He does a good job at walking guys down with that, but his striking defense is suspect. He doesn't mind too much if he gets taken down or sometimes even knocked down because his jiu-jitsu is so exceptional off of his back. He has very good sweeps. He's very dangerous and chain subs from his back and just goes from one to the other. And he also makes it really difficult for guys to use their ground and pound because he's constantly looking for submissions, looking to catch arms, looking to catch necks, whatever it may be. And he's using elbows from either the top or the bottom. So if he ends up in top position, he's using his elbows. If he's in the bottom, he's still using those elbows. And a lot of times he'll use his legs to pull someone in onto an elbow. So he'll throw the elbow up and use his legs to pull their body down. I don't know if you guys have done jiu-jitsu, you understand, like if the closed guard, you can kind of like a reverse crunch, if you will, to your opponent and get them to come forward into an elbow like that. Charles Oliveira does that very, very well. And I could see him trying to implement that against Tsarukyan here. Maybe to success, maybe not. But In this one, it's going to come down to a couple of things. Can Charles Oliveira crack Arman Tsarukyan on the feet before getting taken down and smothered? If he does get taken down, can he land enough off his back or get a submission in order to get the win? I think Charles Oliveira needs a finish here, and I think Tsarukyan can win a decision. I don't think Oliveira's getting a decision because I think if it goes to decision, Oliveira's been in enough bad spots that he's not winning minutes. Because realistically, if Charles Oliveira starts winning minutes, the fight's probably going to end. And because of that, I'm taking Charles Oliveira because I think he's going to get the finish. I think he knocks out Arman Tsarukyan. Not a submission. I think he's getting the knockout or TKO, whatever it is. So Charles Oliveira is the pick. Let me know what you have, and I'll see you guys. We have one of the most exciting matchups on the card, but with one of the stupidest titles on the line. It is Max Holloway taking on Justin Gaethje for the BMF championship. Yes, that is a championship in the UFC, apparently. But this is a good fight. This is an exciting fight. When it was announced, a lot of people were kind of just, Gaethje's going to knock out Max Holloway. He's going to be able to crack the chin. Holloway looked bad up at 155 in the past. But this is a good fight. If you think about it, it's a good fight. Like, Max Holloway's had plenty of time to get up to the weight. Last time when he fought at 155, it was kind of just one of those things where he just fought at 155 as a 145er. This is different. He's been planning this out. He's been trying to do this thing. And I've got a lot of notes on both of these guys if you haven't seen this. So this might end up in the full card breakdown, or it might end up in a separate video. I'm not exactly sure. Either way, Justin Gaethje is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Max Holloway, 4-1 in his last 5. Both of these guys are only losing to the top fighters in their divisions. They're not losing to just anybody. They're not losing to bums, right? 2 elite level fighters. We're going to start on the Max Holloway side. Dude has very high level striking. Probably some of the best hands in the entire UFC. Puts together great combinations, all that good stuff. He's absolutely fantastic. He's got excellent lateral movement, that jab, clean and crispy. Good head movement with superb volume. Moves his head a lot. Yes, he gets hit a lot, but he also moves his head quite a bit and just puts an outrageous amount of volume on people. With that, he's got those clean combinations like I talked about, but he could also rip them to the body or go to the head. He's not just out there hunting heads. He's going to the body as well. He can do this from either stance, and he's setting this up with feints. Max Holloway is one of the best strikers on the planet, and I will keep saying that because it's true, darn it. Dude does use a side kick to the leg sometimes, and people this kind of goes unnoticed. But when guys are giving him too much forward pressure, he'll do a little side kick to like around the knee area and kind of back him up a little bit, and that'll set up his hands. So that's something that I do like for Holloway in this matchup specifically, with Gaethje being a forward pressure kind of guy. So that side kick to the knee might be a move that we see him bring out here. We don't see it a ton, but he's used it in the past, and he's used it to good success. He is willing to brawl at times, and that could be a problem here because Gaethje does hit very hard, as we know. And if he gets sucked into a brawl, I mean, either guy could just end up pieced up there, and that's not what you want when you're betting either side. So hopefully, if you're watching this one, you've prepared yourself for the worst. Dude will eat leg kicks though. Max Holloway just eats leg kicks, and that is a problem. He's very durable, don't get me wrong, and he's able to do this usually, but he just eats them. And he'll try and come back with his hands when he does it. But Gaethje throws really good leg kicks, and we're going to cover that in a moment, but that could be a big problem for him as well. Grappling department. Now, I don't think either of these guys are going to try and grapple. We're going to cover it just briefly just because. He does have a slick foot sweep. We might see that, just something like that just to mix it up, I guess. But takedown defense is good. He does have a decent guillotine. We're probably not going to see that. Submission defense is usually pretty good as well, but he has insane cardio. The better cardio in this matchup is Max Holloway, and that's crazy because Gaethje trains at Elevation over in Denver. But I've got to say Holloway's got the better cardio. When I look at Justin Gaethje, he's also a very solid striker. The dude uses a block and return style where he'll kind of block, and then fire a shot back. A lot of times it's that uppercut, and that uppercut is dangerous, but he has to get in tight to use that. So when he's eating all these shots, he has to get in close and then slam that uppercut in there. And he does pretty good at doing that because he just comes forward and he just kind of walks through stuff, which is not really the best thing you want because you're going to get, a lot of volume, right in your face. But he does do a good job of throwing that uppercut in there. I keep saying that wrong. Uppercut in there after just, blocking some shots and then just boom, ripping it through. His footwork is kind of just, when he's doing this, just kind of like plodding forward, which isn't the best, but it works for him in most situations. But against Holloway, he's going to be eating a lot of volume, so keep that in mind. He does have good volume of his own. He puts a lot of output, but he does get hit quite a bit in that as well. A lot of times when he's just coming forward, walking through stuff. Plenty of power, good combinations, and it's the leg kicks. We talked about the leg kicks. Now, right here, that's a big problem for Holloway. The leg kicks, he can throw them from very close, and he also will check leg kicks as well as a defense. But What we're also thinking here, or we're not thinking here, is how close does he have to get to land those leg kicks when we got Holloway over here with this lateral movement, right? So that could also be something, because I know Gaethje's not throwing leg kicks from far out, which is good. We don't want to see leg kicks from far away. But for Gaethje, if he can get in tight, those leg kicks are there all day. He's not throwing them like Volkanovski was, where he darts in with the leg kick and then gets back out. That's not what we're seeing from Gaethje. Now, anyway, he's very much offense over defense, and that's okay, because that's what we want to see in this fight, some offense, right? But it can lead to being hit. Thankfully, he's pretty durable. Gaethje isn't just getting knocked down by everybody, but he does get wobbled sometimes. It does happen. And sometimes he can overcommit to his strikes and just sling a big bomb and be off balance. And I think that Holloway is going to be able to counter that pretty well. This is a close fight in the striking, right? In the grappling department, yeah, Gaethje can wrestle. He's a very good wrestler. He doesn't do it, but he's got very good takedown defense. He's got a great sprawl, powerful takedowns when he does use them, and he's got relentless ground and pound. Let's be honest, he's not going to do that. This is a good fight. This is a really close fight, and I don't really know where I'm going to go with it. I take that back. I do know where I'm going to go with it, but I'm second-guessing it, and I keep second-guessing it, and I got to sign with Holloway. We're going to do it. Max Holloway for the win. I think he's going to outpoint him to a decision, and I think that's what we're going to get. It's going to be really, really close. Probably 3 rounds to 2 Max Holloway, but let me know what you have. Let me know who you think. And if you think Gaethje's going to crack the chin of Holloway, let me know how. Let me know what you think is going to happen and what round is it in. I'd love to hear from you guys. Now the co-main event of the evening, we have Zhang Weili defending her women's strawweight championship against Yan Xiaonan. Now both of these ladies are 3-2 in their last 5, so similar there. And both of these ladies also call China their home, which is a first for the UFC to have 2 Chinese fighters fighting each other for a championship. That's very interesting. Big, just shows the development in that area of the world for mixed martial arts, which is not something that there has been up until recently. It wasn't an area that was known as a hotbed for MMA. But now you look at this, and we've got 2 ladies here fighting for the belt. Very impressive. Zhang is the defending champion. Yan is the challenger. Both ladies have a similar skill set on the feet. The grappling is where it's different. Let's break this down. For Yan Xiaonan, very solid striker, good combinations, plenty of volume. She picks her shots super well, and she's got good movement on the feet to do that. She's got enough power that when she does pick those shots, she can hit you, drop you, wobble you, and put you on your back foot after you've eaten a few of those hammers she's throwing at you. She's got good counter striking as well, and that's going to play into her favor, because what we look at here, the counter striking, it's going to pay dividends here, and we're going to cover that in just a moment. In the grappling department, she has good takedown defense, but once she does get taken down, she can be held down. And that is a problem for Yan Xiaonan in this one here. For Zhang is a very strong striker with good forward pressure. She's got good power, good volume. She's very accurate with her punches, and her combinations are crisp. However, she drops the hands in mid-combination. She'll throw her punches, and her hands start coming down here. And that is a problem because she can get counter-struck by Yan. Now, Yan, to her credit, good counter striker, good this and that, but she doesn't handle being taken down very well. Sure, if she can defend the takedown, great, but she struggles once she is taken down, and that is where we've got a problem for Zhang Weili, or for Yan Xiaonan because of Zhang Weili. Because in the clinch, where she can get her trips, is a way she can get the takedown without having to use a traditional takedown. Now, yes, she does have decent traditional takedowns. Her single leg is pretty good, but she can get these trips in there, and she can land knees in that clinch, do all that, and once she gets to fight to the mat from the trip, that is where her grappling takes over. She has absolutely nasty ground and pound, and sometimes she does lose position on the mat simply because she's just raining down these brutal, heavy shots too much, and that could be a problem. But we haven't seen Yan be able to really capitalize on that and get back to her feet on a consistent basis, right? So and also Zhang's pretty good in the scrambles as well. So for me, I think this is the clear side. I have to go with the fighter, the champion, Zhang Weili, to retain her belt. But let me know what you have. I'm interested in your opinions here. I do think that there's a reason that Zhang is one of the bigger favorites on this card, but I'd love to hear from you. I'll see you guys in the next. We have it, folks, the main event of the evening. And if you haven't already watched it, I broke this fight down in detail, gave my honest prediction on this matchup, top to bottom, in another video. So I'm going to have that pop up on the end screen here. I'm not going to go over the whole thing again because, why would we do that twice when you can always just watch the other video? It helps my channel out as well because I get more ad revenue. So thank you guys. I appreciate that very much. Appreciate you clicking on that video after this one if you haven't already watched it. Now, if you have already watched it, there's other videos on the channel you can watch if you haven't done it already. You could also like this video. That would help me a lot, and I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember, my links are in the description. I will see you guys, I guess, after UFC 300, the post-UFC 300 era. See you there. Oh, Also, if you're still watching, Wednesday night, 9:15 p.m. Eastern time, me and Effie from Any Action Sportscast are be breaking down the PFL card. So if you're watching this pre-PFL card, you can check that out, whether it's live for you or you're watching the replay, it'll be there. Now I'll see you guys in the post UFC 300 era.